much to everyone who's tuning in for yet another episode of the Patrick Miller Podcast. I'm saying that with more conviction now because I feel like that's what I should actually call this thing. Though the runner-up name is still True Love Making with Patrick Miller.
It's always a great song.
Yeah, that might be the pocket name for this show. As you know, if you're a repeat visitor, every week I try and talk to someone who is cool and good at doing a thing, and probably has some interest in fighting games. And today is the first time that we've actually had a guest who is good at fighting games and somewhat cool. I don't want to let your head get too big, but
damn it, you know my weakness.
But like most of the people that I talk to on this podcast are people who I use fighting games as a way to connect with them about the other shit that they're actually good at, right? And the goal is to talk about to use fighting games as a launching point to talk about what else you can do with those skills once you've learned it, right? Okay. You get good at fighting games, you can also apply those things to other things in real life. And so most of the people who I talk to are good at other things in real life, are okay at fighting games, and so we get an interesting conversation there. Today we have none other than Julian Franco, aka Beautifuldude. He is at BeautifulDudeGG on Twitter. You may know him from ruining people's lives with Zato in Guilty Gear Xrd.
I can do that sometimes.
And I thought you'd be an interesting person to talk to, in part because, so I had only met you, I think, and it was probably like, I want to say 6 to 8 months, maybe about a year or so. Like
almost a year.
Yeah,
almost,
it's like
it was a year. Frosty Faustings, we actually talked.
Right. Yeah. And I had met you kind of through like Monique and Paul and that crew over there. When Xrd had come out, I was putting a lot more work into it than I currently am, and I remember you coming by, and you had a way harder time with my Chip than you should have.
Chip's annoying, man.
He's very annoying. But just over the last year that I've gotten to know you, I've been super interested to see what it's like as kind of a somewhat newer player to fighting games and to Guilty Gear coming up, right? It's especially to see you play Zato. I feel like it's pretty rare to see newer players. And I'm saying newer, like, relative to the big-ass timeline that is Guilty Gear, right? Like, I started playing Guilty Gear with XX in 2003-ish, and, like, I'm still learning things about Chip from each iteration, right? So, like, Zato seems like one of those characters for whom, like, just backlogged experience over years counts for a lot, you know? And so it's super interesting to me to see you come up and do really well against dudes who had been playing, you know, Guilty Gear and Zato especially for, like, you know, over a decade at this point, right? And so I wanted to talk to bring you on the show in part so we can talk about Guilty Gear and stuff like that and see what it's like kind of coming up in this age, right? But also because I'm interested to see what the kind of the possible futures are there for the most beautiful of dudes, right? So,
of course.
So that's how I know you, right? You're a random kid who comes by Paul and Monique's and plays a lot of games, and you're a lot better than I think you should be given your age and the fact that you're playing Guilty Gear. How do you want to introduce yourself to the stream audience or to anyone else who's watching?
How do I view myself?
How do you want to introduce yourself, right? I introduced you as a Zato player. Maybe you're like, man, actually, I'm like a geologist major or whatever. My point is that my picture of you is incomplete, so go ahead and fill it in.
You know, a lot of people know me as, you know, just a beautiful dude. That one guy who, you know, who does, like you said, does well in Xrd and, you know, wins maybe a little bit more than he should have and stuff like that. And nowadays it's a little bit different. You know, I was also known for like the Castlevania streams that
yeah, those are pretty good. Shout outs to Medusa.
The infamous, shout outs to Medusa. You know, like that was like one of the first things, you know, in commentating. I was known for commentating and stuff. That's what put me on the map. Mm-hmm. But now I'm trying to branch out a bit. I'm playing more games. I have a full-time job now, which is nice. Yeah. Thank you. And but yeah, what I like to like introduce myself is basically as like a commentator and a new player that can hold his own against, you know, the older players, mm-hmm. and can do well. You know, that's what I like to present myself. Also a nice guy too. I like to do that.
You are a very nice guy.
Thank you.
I just want to say, so I was unaware of exactly what your employment situation is, and we can get more into that later, but like, sure. There was every possibility when I set this interview up with you that we were going to have an intervention. I'm just going to put that out there. I was super ready to be like, I've seen far too many young men and women sacrifice themselves at the altar of feeling good at fighting games when they haven't felt good at anything else in their lives. And I was ready to pull you aside and be like, like Zato is a false prophet, right? Like, play chip, learn the pain of the world, and then use that in something else, right? So I'm glad to hear you have a full-time job. And like, I'm dead ass serious, right? Less so for Guilty Gear, but like, I often like to joke about my friends who play Marvel that like the biggest predictor of unemployment in my circle of friends is whether you're a Marvel player or not. And dead ass serious. Like, I know people who haven't finished college because of Marvel 2, and then I know people who, as soon as Marvel 3 came out, somehow they lost their job. You know, like, that kind of shit happens, right? And so, and it's a very real thing. Like, when I see people getting good at fighting games, it's important to me that they have that feeling of getting good at something, because for me, that was super powerful. But I was also lucky enough to be able to apply that to other areas in life beyond just fighting games. I know some people who don't do that, and then they kind of cap out as a player, and they realize that there weren't these extra next steps that they were looking for. And that's really why I was interested in having you here, is because you seem to have you seem to realize that your best odds of success in life are not playing Zato all the way up until Evo Finals, right?
No, you're right. You're right.
So let's start with your origin story for fighting games and Guilty Gear, though. How'd you get into all of this? How the hell did you end up here?
So you want me to say basically my origin story, how I started in fighting games in general, or just Guilty Gear?
Start with fighting games in general, and then lead to Guilty Gear after that.
Sure. Basically how I started was, pretty much like a lot of other players, like 09er. I started, and I would say, like, how it originally started was playing Vega. Like, Vega's the original Julian character. Like, he is the original OG Julian character. Not Zato, not Relius, not anyone. It's Vega. You know, I saw him in ST, and I was like, this guy is sick. You know? He's beautiful.
So you played ST? Fuck you, dude. I'm going to kick you off the stream right now. Are you fucking kidding me?
He's got the 50-50s? It's great. But, like, you know, I didn't play fighting games very seriously until past high school, when I was with Fu, which is my training partner. Fu, you know who he is. Yeah, he goes with me. And he, you know, I owe him pretty much all my success in fighting games, I owe to him. Like, you know, obviously I have other people to shout out, but like the one who started it all was Fu. Because I've known him for 13 years.
Wow.
And he's the one who got me into Guilty Gear. Basically, he said, yo, Julian, you should play this game called Guilty Gear. It's sick. I'm like, no, that's for nerds. I don't play that stuff. I'm going to play football and all that stuff like that. And I'm not even joking. That's how I used to be a big jock. And he's like, no, I'm going to play football. And he goes, but it has a beautiful guy in it. He's from Spain, and he does shadow shit. I'm like, whoa! Bam. And that's how I picked Eddie. Yeah, that's how I picked Eddie. And ever since that day, it ruined my life, by the way.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're calling Fu as the guy who introduced you Guilty Gear, and that's very kind, because you were a football player and you were a jock, and then anime came, and now look at you.
I played football with my friends all the time, and he just like ruined my life. Basically, I stopped being athletic and all that stuff. Started reading Death Note. It was over. It was bad. I'm not even kidding. He showed me one volume of Death Note. He's like, "Trust me, you'll like it." Oh boy, did I!
Oh my god.
You know. And after that, I started playing Marvel. Actually, believe it or not, the first fighting game I went to tournaments for was Marvel 3.
Okay.
That's like a very, very little known fact about me, is that actually I started out as a Marvel player.
All right. Who'd you play Marvel?
First and foremost. I played Taskmaster, Nova Virgil. Yeah, I know.
But you didn't even get into it in vanilla then. You waited until Ultimate.
Yeah, no, I got into vanilla too. I played Chris, Deadpool, Akuma. Okay. But I was whack. I was whack, just like my team. And you know, I just got destroyed by Bryant. Like, Bryant would just destroy me 40-0, 32-0. You know, he just murdered me. He just killed me over and over again. Every fighting we play, BBCT, you know, AC, doesn't matter. Every game he would just Fu would just destroy me for free. It was just the freest. It was the freest as free. And
so why did you stick with it?
Would I stick with it?
Yeah, because normally, like, everyone has that experience when they start playing fighting games, right? Everyone has a brick wall that they run into. Sometimes it's not even a person. Sometimes that wall is just like CPU difficulty 4 or whatever. So why'd you stick with it? Like, what made you keep playing fighting games when you're getting wrecked?
Like, I don't want to say something still like I just wanted to get better, but I felt like I had so much fun playing fighting games, even though when I sucked at it. And there was times where I had horrible mindsets. Like in that time I had when I was 19, like I got into fighting games pretty late, like 19, 20-ish. you know, like I complained, I was super salty, but I still stuck with it because I believe that if I kept going, I would win. And I can beat Bryant. And then the day I beat Bryant in AC was the day I was like, oh my God, I can actually beat Bryant in something. Because Fu would always murder me in
Yeah.
every game, you know. And
How long did it take?
fast forward after that. I'm sorry, what was that?
How long did it take for you to beat him?
Oh, it took a long time. It took a long time. Like I'm talking like he just destroyed me. It was he like honestly, shout outs to Fu for like sticking with me, to be honest, because I was boring to fight against. He just kill me. Like in Marvel, he'd murder me with Thor, even though he was whack. Like it was really bad. And I finally went to tournaments. You know, I went to SCR as my first tournament in 2013. No, 2012 SDR, and my first Evo was 2013. Not the one where PR Balrog won. The one after that. I forgot which one was that. It was the one after that.
Okay.
When PR Balrog won Marvel. I mean, Viscount won Marvel.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me.
Wait, Viscount won in 2011, I think.
Okay, 21. It was the one after that.
Yeah, yeah, so you won 2012.
And when I finally, you know, I got waxed when I went to Evo. But the following year, when I finally got out of Evo pools, in winners in Marvel, that's when I felt like I crossed the line. Like I can. That's when I finally got self confidence in myself. I never had self confidence in my.
Damn, you made it out of pools with that fraudulent ass team. I played Zero Doom Virgil for like 3 years. I never made it out of pools. That's great. Good shit.
You know, like the best part was OC being people with Taskmaster. God, I love doing that. That's the best. Like, come on, yeah, play.
Okay.
But yeah, after I got out of pools in winners, that's when I finally realized that I can win in these games. I can win these games. I just have to try. Like, I can finally win in a big stage. I just have to keep going, basically.
So how'd you do after pools?
Oh, I think I won one game after that. And I just died.
Nice.
I think I lost to I forgot his name. Oh, not Black Mage. The NorCal player. What's his name?
You say NorCal Marvel, and I just think GC Yoshi or what's his name, Beneath.
I didn't lose to Beneath, but I think I lost to Patrick. I'm not 100% sure.
Gotcha.
But I lost to someone.
Pad Trick, that one, or yeah.
Yeah, Patrick. I think I lost to him, and I lost to a European player. I think it was like KFC. I don't remember his name.
Gotcha.
It was, and you know, after that, I retired from Marvel.
That's respectable. Yeah.
Like I really didn't want to play anymore. Yeah, Black Mage. Yes, Black Mage. That's his name. Yes,
Black Mage.
Yes,
Thanks,
yes.
Henry.
He was the one who beat me. Thank you. And after that, I retired from Marvel, and that's when I finally got into anime games like Persona. I actually played Persona for a little bit.
Okay, so how'd you end up playing Xrd then? Was it just Persona? You played that until you realized no one else was playing, and then you went to Xrd, or what?
I played Persona for a little bit, and I realized I didn't like that game. So I played Accent Core.
Okay.
When it was the end of its life.
Right.
Accent Core's end of its life. And I finally can do Eddie stuff. I was very fraudulent, by the way, with my Eddie. My Eddie was hella fraudulent. But Plus R came out, and that's when everything changed. When Plus R came out, that's when I was full-time Guilty Gear player. Just Guilty Gear, and that's it, nothing else. Ever since Plus R came out, it's been history ever since. I just play nothing but Guilty Gear. I dabble into other games now too, but at the time it was just Guilty Gear. I traveled to Amtrak like $60 round trip just to go to play casuals at Super Arcade, just so I can get experience.
Wow.
Like I would spend the money every 2 weeks and I wouldn't care, just so I can. Yeah, that's how I got good. Is that I just spent hella money, you know, used my time to go to Super Arcade so I can play people and beat people up with Eddie, and I did do that. That was fun. Eventually.
I like that you call him Eddie and not Zato.
At that time, it was Eddie.
Yeah, I know. So why Zato?
Why Zato? Because not only is he's my aesthetic, like he's super good looking, like, you know, blonde, that's great. But like he's a technical character, like he's super technical. Like the limit to learning stuff with him is through the roof. Like you can never be bored with Eddie. Like there's always something to learn with Eddie, always. Yep. Like even though people wonder how I played Pad Eddie, because you're not supposed to play Zato with Pad. It's like with stick. It's really hard. You know, with Zato, Zato with stick. And
just to clarify for the people here who are listening and aren't that familiar with Guilty Gear, Zato is a character who is uniquely technical even for fighting game characters, because so every character in Guilty Gear is a different kind of weapon that they attack with, and Zato, his special weapon is basically a second character that he can summon, which is his shadow, named Eddie. Cool. And the neat thing is that Eddie basically responds to the same joystick inputs and button releases that the main character Zato responds to. So if you press a button, when you press it down, Zato does something, and when you let it go, Eddie does something. And so basically the number of things that you have to keep track of in an actual match is more or less doubled. He's one of the coolest characters from a gameplay and from an aesthetic design. He's one of the coolest characters I've ever seen in any fighting game, and I've never seen anyone kind of top that for just like beauty of like design, right? Like he's just, there are a bunch of different ways that people have tried to do like summoning minion mechanics in a fighting game, and I think Zato is the only one which really just, you look at that and you're like, oh man, even if I'm losing to this guy, like it just, he earned it, right?
I agree. Like that's what, like I love playing Eddie. Like people say, you know, that was my motivator at first. People was like, oh, you can't play him on pad. You can't play him optimally on pad. Like you can't do that. That's not possible. Stop it. Play stick. Just play stick, Julian. You can't do it. And I was like, no, I will prove you wrong. I will play him on pad and I will be good. And it took me a while. It did take me a while. It took me a good 2-3 months just to make a move properly without him dying. Like just a move without dying. It was like 2-3 months. So it was a huge grind. But when I finally got it, it felt amazing. It felt amazing just prove people wrong. I was like, look, I'm playing pad and I'm killing people. Like I can do it. Like you can do it too. Like so, it's the best satisfaction.
So that's interesting to me. You spent a couple months just learning how to make the character move, basically.
Yeah.
Break it down for me. Like, what did you do in order to practice that?
Like how did I like practice with the pad?
Like what did you do in training mode? I'm assuming it was training mode to level up your execution with Eddie, and how did you know that you're doing it the right way, right? Like the background here is fighting games don't teach you how to play them, right? And Guilty Gear in particular doesn't do a fantastic job of teaching you how to play one of the most complicated characters in all of fighting games. So how'd you break it down?
Basically, I watched, you know, like the top Japanese players like Ogawa, see how they move, because movement with Eddie is the #1 priority you should learn. Not combos, not unblockable setups, not anything, nothing like that. The first thing you should learn with Eddie is neutral. Neutral, because you can't set play anyone if you don't have neutral. Like you can't do that. And with what Eddie, what it basically did was just grind his movement over and over again. Like when I didn't, like what you said, like how did I know when I didn't mess up? Basically, when little Eddie didn't do a move that I didn't want him to, is when I knew I didn't mess up. Like when I'm moving in tandem with the shadow, without the shadow, like the worst thing in plus R was he turned into a puddle. Yeah. That's when you know you really messed up, because he turns into a puddle, Eddie bar goes away, and he's just there forever. That's when you know you messed up. Or an Exerd, he turns into a drill mine. Like, you don't want that to happen. That happens, you messed up.
Gotcha.
You messed up hard. So basically what I did was go in training mode and just try to learn how to move with him. Try to cover each other's recoveries. Try to like, I cover him, he covers me, basically, to put it in simple terms. And I just did that over and over and over again. I almost quit on multiple occasions. Like, it was rough, but I'm happy I stuck with it. I really did.
That's good. So you were watching pro footage, basically, or like top player Japanese footage, and you tried your best to copy that, right?
Yeah, I copied it as hard as I could, but also putting my own spin on it, because I know some of the things at that time I couldn't do. Like I straight up just couldn't do it. Like because people ask me, do you use macros with Eddie? I do not. I do not use any macros except like RC, but everyone else does that. It's just, that's fine.
Sure, that's a one button for like
for RC. Yeah, nothing to do with Eddie or anything. Like I never button my kicks or anything like that. They're all just face buttons.
Sure.
Basically, you know, like you're just holding buttons together. Like I know it's hard to see here, but I have to hold buttons and ghost my thumb on multiple buttons, so I'm ready to negative edge at any time. And it's not easy, but it's basically just copying them.
So how did you identify? But you point out that there's some things where you know you can't do, right? And that's one of those things which is really interesting to me, because in fighting games, when you're learning a fighting game, if you're dedicated, eventually you do run up into these crossroads where you're like, I see how it's supposed to be done or how someone else does it, but I don't know if that's the right way to, or the right thing for me, right? Like, and personally, like one of the reasons I play Chip is because his execution is significantly easier than a lot of other characters, right? So that's like a deal that I make with myself. I know my execution is ass, so I try and play characters that simplify it a little bit, and I trade some power for that, right? So when you're looking at the top players playing, at what point do you look at something and think, oh, I can't do it that way, so I'm going to find a different way to do it?
Basically, because without getting too technical into it, is at the time I couldn't go punch into slash too well because my thumb just can't move that way.
Yeah.
So I found ways to compensate.
Okay.
Like for example, you see my block string, you'll see me do kick, then drill. So because kick and drill gives me enough time to move my fingers up to slash.
I see.
Basically, like I knew like what I'm doing is not for everyone. Like I don't recommend it. Like if I would say brewing pad or stick, I say stick.
Yeah.
But if you want to play pad, it is possible because I can do it and I can play at a high level, and other people can too. It just the problem is you will be limited at first, and there is no sugarcoating it. You will be limited because you'll just frankly cannot do things that stick players can. But eventually, if you keep at it, you will at least mostly bridge the gap, mostly.
So when you're spending hella money to go travel down to Super Arcade every other week,
Those dark days.
and you're and you're learning like, I mean, you show up there, and I'm assuming you get exposed. Like, how do you identify what it is you need to work on?
It's usually not my offense that's the problem, because like in Plus R Eddie, if you don't know how to deal with Plus R Eddie, you just lose. But it was always my defense.
Yeah.
That is the number one thing that always needed help, and me getting opened up by everything, by TK, Carcass Raid or something like that. That's when you have to go back to the lab and training mode characters doing stuff to you. That is the key. And that's what made me learn. Like, there's like 20 Johnnies in SoCal, for example. So I was forced to learn that matchup.
Sure.
So basically, it was just losing a lot at first, and going, why did I lose? And then trying to recreate how I lost, and then going back to training mode and trying to recreate that.
So like, how bridge the gap for me between I lost, why did I lose? Oh, because of defense, right? Because the answer could have just as well been, oh, my offense wasn't good. I had the opportunity to kill them and I didn't, right? And like whenever I've played against Azada, that's what it feels like, right? You make me block once and I'm pretty much screwed. So you could have lost and then thought, I need to go, I need to practice my offense even more, right? But instead you decided defense. Like, what decision-making process led you to that outcome? And then how did you practice your defense? Did you just have Fu, like, practice, in training mode, like, coming in on you with stuff? Or how'd you do it?
I always felt my offense was pretty strong in Guilty Gear. Like, and especially in Plus R, Eddie had an 18-frame overhead. Like, even though it was pretty simple, it opened most people up. So I felt like that wasn't what needed to be worked on. Like, because once I touched you, it was pretty bad. But in neutral, my neutral at that time was really whack. My neutral was whack. My defense, I was mashing and stuff like that. Because, like I said, I was a new player and I just had bad habits.
Yeah.
And basically what I had was I came back and played Bryant more. I played Bryant as much as I could. And Bryant, God bless that guy. He plays multiple characters. He can play most of the cast.
Yeah.
You can play maybe not super well, but enough to do the most basic stuff on you.
Sure.
So you can at least formulate a plan against those characters. And that's what we did. We just came back and I grinded matchups, and it was great. That helped so much. Absolutely.
So I'm curious.
Sure.
Is there anything else in your life that you've been similarly dedicated or devoted to? Like, is this an anomaly for you, or is this kind of matter of course? Like, this is how you deal with things?
Fighting games is definitely the thing I love doing the most as a hobby. Probably, I can definitely say that. I mean,
but like you played football before all this, right? Like,
yes.
were you as disciplined in your practice for football?
I wouldn't say that, because mostly playing with friends and whatnot. I did love playing sports whenever I could, but I would say I still have a passion for working out.
Sure.
I love exercising. I don't know if that counts. I love going to the gym when I can. That is like the closest thing probably.
Yeah. But like when you go to the gym, you're not trying to set personal bests. You're not like obsessively researching diets or new lifts and like accessory lifts to get better.
No, it was just for me for personal growth. Because not only did I find it fun, but I felt like it it made me a better person. It increased my discipline. I think honestly, I thought it made me better at fighting
Yeah.
games. Like it made me develop a mental strength that I did not have before. So that's why I love going to the gym so much.
So what do you think it is about fighting games and Guilty Gear in particular that inspired you to do so much more than it sounds like you do? I'm like, and I don't know like what you've done for school or for work or whatever, right? But it sounds like for you, this kind of disciplined, like rigorous practice, right? Going and like it's not insignificant to go out to Super Arcade every couple weeks from fucking Santa Barbara, right? Like that's a
Yeah, it's
huge pain
fun.
in the ass. And since other things, other activities, or other goals have not motivated you similarly, what do you think it is about Guilty Gear fighting games that did this?
It's the community.
Yeah.
I love. I've done lots of hobbies before, but there's no community quite like the fighting game community. When I was Capcom, when I played Capcom games,
Hmm.
I like the Capcom community, they're great, but I didn't feel the same closeness I did when I joined up with the anime scene. Like when I joined up the anime scene, it felt like I felt like I was at home,
Hmm.
basically. It was like my second family, and they're still my second family to this day. Like I have, you know, you know, my buddy Nano, he now lives in Santa Barbara with me. That's great. I love that. And but maybe it just sounds really selfish, but one of the reasons why when I first started out with playing Guilty Gear is that I wanted to become more recognized.
Hmm.
Like, because in Marvel I couldn't do that. I was like, man, I want to be known for something. I want to put my name out there. Cement my name in something. That was my first. It was selfish. I'll admit. I want to be known for something.
Hmm.
Something I love doing.
Yeah.
And in Guilty Gear and anime games in general has helped me out so much in that. Like you fast forward 2 years from before, it's incredible. Like it's completely like I look back at it and I wonder how am I here? Like the things that has happened over the past year and a half is incredible. Like it's such a humbling experience.
So,
I love
so
it.
when we're talking about you wanting to be well known, right, and that desire for recognition, very,
Yeah.
very, very Naruto of you, right? Like you just want the village to recognize you as the strongest ninja. Someday you will be Hokage. But like, is that a motivator? Jesus Christ! If you're listening to this on the podcast, he just started waggling his eyebrows. It's super disturbing. So, is that a motivator that's ever like gotten at you in the past? Like, did you play football because you thought girls in high school would like it, or like when you were a kid, did you do things for the attention? And I'm not. There's no value judgment here. Like Lord knows I write a lot of stuff in part because I like the attention. Right? It's nice. It's nice to be well known. It's nice to get that attention. I mean, sometimes if you're good, you can turn that attention into other things as well, which is rad. Right? But I want to know, like, is this something that's motivated you in the past, or was it really once you hit fighting games that you're like, oh no, the world needs to know that I'm good at this shit.
Yeah, I mean that is a part of the reason, why before, in my younger days, that would absolutely be the motivator. Now it's not, but at the time I was like, yeah, I want to be known for something. I want people to notice my progress. I need people to um, recognize what I'm doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I liked when people went, "Good job, Julian," or like, "You did great." Like
Yeah.
to me, like especially at that time when I was 19, 20, it was the best to me. It was the best feeling when someone because when I grew up, not a lot of people know this, but when I grew up, I didn't really live like that in a household like that. Like I wasn't used to people didn't really is praise the right word? I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but I think yeah, but praise or recognition. If I did something good, I didn't really get it.
I see.
So when I finally got a taste of it, especially in fighting games, I wanted more.
Yeah.
I wanted more, and I was like, oh, this feels great. Like, oh, this is wonderful. I want more of this. People are liking what I'm doing. People are saying, good job, Julian. I want to feel more of this. Like, this is a fantastic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one of the reasons why when you see me pop off and stuff, I'm so passionate because I just love it when I love doing well in these things. Like, I love the recognition. Like, I
Yeah.
won't lie. I do love it.
So does that still motivate you now? I mean, you've mentioned that you're trying to talk more about like you're trying to get more into commentary. You're not just solely focused on competition now. Have you found other things that motivate you, or is it still mostly you want the validation and the attention? Which again, no value judgment there, right? We all want that.
Um, when I first started playing, like going to these games like Frosty Faustix, when I met you, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like not met you, but when we talked more
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Frosty Faustix. At that time, I was like, I want to be a commentator. Like I just want to commentate because that is the way where I will get my name out there as I comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time. Like that was the first like I commentate. And then when I got ninth place in that tournament, I realized, wait, I'm not bad at these games. I can do well. I
Yeah.
can win. What happens if I go all in on competition? Maybe I can do even better.
Mm-hmm.
I can do even better. And ever since then, like, yeah, absolutely. I want people like I talked to Paul. You know, you obviously know who Paul is. I in the car is I just want people to recognize that I can play these games. It doesn't matter where you're from because I used to, not anymore, thankfully. I already proved people wrong, but it people think depending on where you're from is how good you're good at Guilty Gear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're SoCal, then who cares? Or if you're from something like Midwest, you're good, or East Coast, you're great. But if you're from a certain part of the country, oh, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And one of my biggest motivators was to prove that wrong. That it doesn't matter where you're from, you can still win.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you try your best, grind as hard as you can, and, you know, keep going to events and just doing your best and grinding out Guilty Gear, grinding out whatever game you play. Like, that's the main motivator. I just want to prove people wrong that it doesn't matter where you're from, you can win.
Mm-hmm.
Like absolutely.
So it's February 22nd, 2016, 222, kind of a neat date. Revelator is due out, I guess, at some point before Evo. Are you still focused on competition now? Like right now, is that the main drive that you have for participating in the anime FGC?
Yeah, right now competition is definitely my main drive. Like I will commentate anytime someone wants me to commentate. Like last year I was in, the last year was an incredible year for me.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible year. I got invited to, that's how I got to Combo Breaker. I got invited to commentate, which I did. That was great. Um, people seem to love my commentary, and I love commentating too. It just when I will always be a competitor first, and for Revelator coming out, I will still be focused as a competitor because I feel like, especially with my successes, my recent successes, and top eights, and I won a couple of tournaments. I finally won my first out of state tournament. That was at FADC the day before my birthday too. The birthday
Nice.
luck.
So what are your goals then as a competitor?
I want to win my first major.
Okay.
I want to. That is absolutely like the main goal. If I can do that, that would be absolutely incredible for me.
How are you
I
going
feel
to
like
do
I
it?
already won my first out of state tournament. I feel like I need to win a big one.
Sure.
If I can win any big one, that would be really massive for me. It doesn't have to happen. If it doesn't happen, that's okay.
So what
it
are
wasn't
you doing to make that goal a reality then? Like who is in your way from winning a major?
Who's in my way?
Yeah.
Basically, anyone I feel want, because Guilty Gear has such a big scene now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong players right now. Pretty much anyone can stop me, but like anyone can stop me in this game. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of strong people, maybe not as known, but doesn't matter. There's still killers. Like there's killers at every pool. So it's not just Elven Shadow or Lost Soul or what's his name? A bunch of other players. The guy who Faulty Defense. Shout out to that guy, Faulty Defense, or Black Snake, who I'm so happy to call my rival. There's plenty of players out there that they're stopping me. Or AG, Alex. Yeah, sorry, Alex. There's a lot of players I need to beat, but right now, I feel like I just need to improve as a player.
Sure.
'Cause I
So
don't
how do you
I'm
do
not
that?
there yet.
How are you going to beat the people who are currently between you and winning a major?
Honestly, I just need to go to more things.
Yeah.
Every time I go to a new event, I feel like I get stronger. I feel I get better, and if you see my growth between Faustings of last year and now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's completely different. I would say.
Cool.
I've done so much better since then, and I attribute that to my traveling and playing here, just playing Fu. I only had Fu. That's it. So I need to travel to more things. Like I told you before, I got Nano, who's in this room right now as we speak. He's playing Blazblue. Yeah, he's playing Blazblue right now. He's over there.
Nice.
But getting him to our scene's gonna be absolutely huge. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
now I have 2 training partners. That's a big difference. 2 training partners. So I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited.
Cool. So, I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but this is the first time that you've been this kind of determined and motivated to do well at a thing, broadly speaking, right?
Yeah, easy.
what is next? Like, let's say I have you back on the show in a year from now, and maybe you've hit your goal, maybe you haven't, right? You could decide to chase commentary, or not commentary, competition forever, right? You could even make it as like I'm gonna compete, but I'm also gonna work on my commentary just to give myself a little more exposure and excuses to spend more time on Guilty Gear, right? Like that's actually not uncommon. Is that people get into commentary just because they start studying match footage so much that they're able to talk about it at a high level, right? But like, I guess for comparison's sake, like what's your full-time job that you just got?
I work at a tax office basically.
Okay. What do you
I
do?
work at a tax office. I work, I assist in preparing taxes for people right now. It's a pretty nice gig. It's decent pay. It's entry level,
Hmm.
but it's the first time I've ever had a white collar job in my
Okay.
entire life.
What'd you do before that?
Oh, uh, let's see. Just I used to sell shoes when I was in high school.
Okay.
Grocery bagging, all that stuff. Just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
odds and ends. Oh, and I still do security every once in a while.
Okay.
I do security for events at the Center of Vulnerable.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep doing that anymore now that I have this job, but
Hmm.
what's it called? Yeah, right now I'm doing a white collar job. I'm working at a tax office, and it's a huge change. I'm wearing like the suit. Like I don't know if you saw me with the
Hmm.
suit. Yeah, like
Very good luck.
no, thank you so much. It's very different. Like I'm not used to wearing a suit at work at all. I've
Yeah.
never experienced something like that, and it's great.
And
It's fantastic.
remind me, how old are you?
First I like to play this game with people. You have to guess how
Okay.
old am I?
I'm gonna guess
Get two
25.
guesses. What? God damn it! Who told you? This is bullshit. Who told you?
Well, it is. There's something about you that reads 25. And I think it is the taste of having been good at something, which I feel like is a rare thing to get in your 20s, without the impending fear of the rest of your life spent toiling away at a shitty job or whatever. It's and so like it doesn't surprise me, right? You have this like this nice mixture between optimism and actually being good at a thing. Um, and I'm guessing, well, so tell me more about the job you're doing. I'm actually really interested. How do you start working as a assistant tax preparer?
Well, there was a long time where I basically didn't do much
Sure.
here. Like I lived with my mom for a while,
Hmm.
and I didn't really have like a good job. Just odds and ends everywhere. Like the security work is just not, it's not pushing it.
Yeah.
And basically, I worked with an agency to help me try to get a more long-term, more stable job, which I desperately needed. Like I know, like I was approaching the age, like I was at that time I was 24,
Hmm.
almost 25. I said like if I don't get off my ass, life is gonna pass me by,
Yeah.
basically. And I got scared. I got really scared.
Can I
Because I
ask?
started
Can I ask what made you scared about that all of a sudden?
because I started, without going too deep into it, I started out in life really late
Hmm.
due to some events I'm not gonna really go. Oh,
Sure.
actually, that's fine.
You can talk about whatever you want, man, and you
Okay.
can not talk about whatever you want to. It's totally up to
Oh,
you.
thank you. But I had 6 shoulder surgeries. I have a not mental. I'm sorry. I have a genetic disorder
Hmm.
called multi-directional instability,
Okay.
and basically what it is, your shoulders are too loose, so you have to tighten them up.
I see. I see.
And every surgery takes 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, every recovery is 6 months,
Hmm.
and I had to do 6 of those. So a lot of my 19, 20, 21 was gone.
Hmm.
Basically, I was just spent home recovering. So basically, when I went to college, I went to college really late,
Yeah.
which I barely finished. Like I need one more class to go, so that's it. One more class to go.
When are you taking it?
I'm a legal studies major.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's good, and it's nice. And like I said, I started off life really late, so
Mhm.
I was 25, and I still didn't hold a stable job, and
Sure.
I felt like I really needed to change that. I felt like it was getting to that time where it could be bad.
Hmm.
It could be bad, and that's what scares me the most. Like things that scare me is what motivates me sometimes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, huh. It's so is the goal with a legal studies major to eventually get into law, or is there something else
Yeah.
you want to do? Okay, why
I,
law?
I eventually, I'm thinking, I don't, I've been in, like, that's the thing, like I say, with my age um, that bothers me is like, I could do more education, become a lawyer, but how long would that take and how old would I be when I'm done? Because I'm already, 25, like I
Yep.
said. And I know for sure I'm gonna try to find a job as a paralegal right now when I'm
Hmm.
done. And if that doesn't pan out, I'll probably go for higher education. I think that's going to be my goal. We'll see what happens after that. Luckily, it's a good job market in Santa Barbara. It's not too bad here to find some job. So hopefully that works out.
Interesting. So when I ask you about like why you picked Zato, you have like 5 minutes in this interview so far where you just talk about how awesome he is. But when
Yeah,
I
he's so
ask you when I ask you about your work stuff, it's like, oh, I did this, that, and this other thing, because it seems like a good idea. Um, that's not unusual, certainly, but I'm curious. Like, has it ever occurred to you that you might be a person who needs the kind of passion you feel about fighting games, that you need that in your everyday job, like daily job life stuff as well?
that would be ideal. I would definitely love that more because right now it is kind of like that. Like I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like I need to do this because it is true. I think that's what you're hinting at. It's like I haven't really found that passion yet, like that passion for a job. Like this is what I love doing, and I'm gonna do this for a living. I really haven't found that yet when
Hmm.
it comes to working. Right now, I'm pretty much working to pay the bills and whatnot. And it is with my current job, it's great experience, so great. But I do agree. I do feel like I need that motivator. That passion for something. I haven't quite found that yet, which is kind of a
Are
little
you
scary,
are you
but
looking for it?
yes, absolutely.
Where? Like, what are you doing when you think when I ask you, are you looking for it? That's a serious question. Like, do you are you do you look at the jobs that other people are doing? Do you look at jobs that people are doing, or things that your friends are doing, or things that people online, fucking celebrities, whatever, are doing, and think, oh man, I want to do that someday? And like no is a reasonable answer to this question. Like I've met I there are plenty of friends that I have who, uh, to them a job is a way to get paid, and they just want to do the least pain in the ass job possible to fund the rest of their life. And again, no judgment here. It's not how I live, but it's how a lot of people do. Right. That's why when I ask you, do you think you need that passion? It's a serious question. Like you could be one of those people for whom your 9 to 5 is just a thing you do to pay the bills, and then as soon as you clock out, the beautiful dude shades go on, and you're ready to ruin some nerd's shot at Evo. Right. Like that
Yeah.
is a future. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting here assuming that you need that kind of passion. What I'm asking is like, do you think you need that kind of passion in your day job?
There's a part of me that wants to say no because I feel like if it's in right now, my mindset is that it's an end that justifies the means type
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like it's just gonna get me to point A to point B. Like getting a job right now will allow me to like go more events and live above water and stuff like
Yep.
that. Get a decent amount of pay so I can do my passion, which is like fighting games. Like right now, that's what a job is for me at this moment. Is that it's money for me to do fighting game stuff, money for me to survive and live comfortably, and it's not much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds really appealing, with what you just said, like the passion for a career. But right now, it's definitely not it. And
Sure.
I would hope that happens one day, but we'll see.
Have you ever thought about trying to work in fighting games?
Uh, that sounds incredible, but
It is.
and I would definitely, I wouldn't even hesitate. I wouldn't hesitate. Absolutely not. The work in the video games, but I don't know if I have the education necessary to do that. Games design or like writing or something like that. I definitely don't have that. What other people do, but if
Well,
that opportunity somehow showed up, I would definitely not hesitate to take it. No question.
my point here though is that the opportunity doesn't show up, right? You make it happen. And I'm sitting here like I'm 30 years old. I studied philosophy in college, um, and I spent a good chunk of my 20s like. I don't know, I worked as a boxing coach for a year. I worked in tech magazines for a couple of years, right? Like,
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, I did a bunch of different shit. And it's only been recently that I found my way into working on fighting games, and I'm one of the few people in the world, I guess, who gets to say that he works on fighting games, which I also play fighting games, and so it's awesome. But I'm
that's
curious, like, what if you could be doing anything. Like let's time travel forward to like you hit the ripe old age of 30, right? What do you hope Julian's doing?
Um, I think my strengths as a person
I,
is
I don't give a shit about your strengths. Start
I
with
know
the
it's going to
verbs.
that though.
Start with the verbs. What do you wish you were doing?
Some sort of, PR for a company. I feel like I can do that pretty well. I'm good with people. People
Jesus
don't seem to
Christ,
dislike me.
you're the next Alex Jabali. What have I done?
Jabali Jr.
I think he's the Jiraiya to your Naruto. You might want to go chase him around for a while.
Learn
Okay.
from my master Jabali so I
Yeah.
can become his protege.
Yeah. Okay. So PR. What interests you about that?
I love, like, it's kind of what I'm doing with my job right now is I interact with a lot of clients with
Hmm.
people. I love talking with people.
Hmm.
I love it. Like, I'm a very social person. Anyone who talks to me is I love to talk.
Hmm.
I love to talk. I love to be with people, no matter what. I'm an extrovert, absolutely. So any job, oh, excuse me, any job that puts me with people at a regular basis, especially something I love, like fighting games or something
Hmm.
like that, no question, I'll take it. Even if it's like negative stuff, like that you have to deal with. Like to me, dealing with people is what I do best, and
I'm
I
going to give you the keys to the at SFV server Twitter account. We'll see how long you last. Yeah, okay. That's interesting to me. So like at the end of the day, or maybe like 5 years from now, when you're all washed up as a competitor, you're interested, right? But it is really the community that motivates you, right? And being a part of it. It sounds
yeah,
like that's really cool. Like
yeah, I
I
love it.
guarantee you that a lot of people who I'd be talking to who, if they were in your position, right, let's say they're young and they've just hit like some recent tournament success, they're feeling themselves, would want to say stuff like, "Oh, I want to win Evo and be a pro gamer," right? How come that wasn't your answer?
Because to me, I like helping people more than winning.
Mm-hmm.
Winning feels amazing. Popping off and going crazy when I beat Black Snake in FADC 3 was incredible. But the best feeling is when someone says, beautiful dude, you're the reason why I play fighting games. You're the reason why Someone told me like you're the reason why I'm still alive is like because I watch your streams and stuff like that. Like I actually that I have that like message on my phone and it brought me to tears. That's
Mm-hmm.
the shit I live for. Is
Mm-hmm.
when people say, Julian, you motivate me to do X. Like that to me is the biggest, way more than winning or anything like that. That's why, for me, winning is secondary to that. Is people saying, beautiful dude, keep doing what you're doing because you're awesome. Like I love it. I love it.
So then is your you mentioned that your current day job is basically like it's good certainly to get some white collar work experience, right? Like
Yeah.
it's you mentioned that you're finishing up your legal studies degree. Is it basically your plan B,
My plan B is my legal studies degree.
or like your full time gig, right? Like what I'm trying to get at here is like do you feel like there's a link between the stuff you're doing now in fighting games and the like the kind of the like Hail Mary 30-year-old Julian goal of working somehow in some kind of community or marketing related role? Do
I
you
would
see a
say,
connection?
yeah, I can see what you mean. I would feel like my job and my education is my first goal,
Hmm.
but I would. I think that being a plan B, it does make sense because I would rather work in my passions than what I'm doing now.
Hmm.
That's why I'm trying to get my education and whatnot like that. But yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that. I feel like it is my plan B right now. I would definitely love the Hail Mary more, but
Yeah.
if they, you know,
I'm really glad you have a plan B.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not saying this because I don't think you can do it. Like I actually think that the stuff that you've described so far, right? Both the way that you approach fighting games, the way that you talk about how other people are inspired by the way you do your shit, the dedication that you've put into working on the hardest video game character ever. And then your attitude towards competitive success, your interest in giving back, like all of that sounds like a kind of thing that could eventually lead to work in this field, right? And I think that's pretty awesome. But the fact that you're not jumping into these tournaments and saying, I got to win that money so I can go to the next tournament, so I can win there and get more money to win the next tournament, and so on and so on. Like, that's fantastic, honestly. And it's something which I wasn't sure where your head was wrapped as far as like career stuff and long term prospect stuff. But I'm glad that makes me happy because, like I said, what I've seen in the past is far too many people who get a taste of that competitive success and think, oh man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and they end up chasing that for the rest of their lives, right? When did you realize that it was that other people were kind of inspired by or drawn to the way you play?
At first, I didn't realize it, but is fans the right word?
Sure.
Is fans the right word?
Admirers.
Yeah, admirers. You know, when people started, you know, I started getting more Twitter followers, and people started to recognize for what I was doing. When people love my streams, it's when I got messages from people, like direct messages, or like, "Hey, beautiful dude, you did this. You're awesome." That's when I started realizing, hey, people are liking my stuff. People are liking what I'm doing, and people who send me the emotional stuff, that's the stuff that really gets me, Pat. Like that, the off my streams, the people that regularly go to my streams and like whatnot, the people that randomly shake my hand in tournaments that I don't even know who they are. I don't know who they are. They just go to me like, "Oh, beautiful dude, it's nice to meet you. Like I always wanted to meet you, beautiful dude." Like that is what was told me. Like I can't believe this is happening. People are actually stopping me. Someone stopped me in the college I went to. Like, "Are you beautiful, dude?" Like, I'm not even joking. He had an Evo shirt. He's like, "Yeah, you play Guilty." I'm like, But yeah, like that stuff is when people like notice me in physical life and like, "Yo, are you the beautiful dude? I want to shake your hand." That is to me is the best feeling. Like that stuff is so good.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's pretty. No,
it sounds narcissistic, but come on, man.
Yeah, but come on, you call yourself beautiful, dude. What the fuck am I supposed to think? No, absolutely. Like, I'm still baffled that people read the stuff that I do or anything. And when people see me in real life and say, "Hey, you wrote this thing and I liked it," it feels great. So I understand exactly what you're talking about.
It's incredible. When someone goes to you like, "Oh, you have that awesome pads auto," I'm like, "Thank you."
Cool. So that was actually, like, as far as the stuff that I have that I had prepped for today's conversation, I really mostly just wanted to know a little bit more about who you are, what you got going on, what you saw in your future. And again, for the people who are a little bit late to the stream, one of the reasons that I was interested in having Julian on the show was because like I said a little bit earlier, there are people who get into fighting games and then learn to apply that passion and that purpose and the drive to other things than just competition. And then there are the people there are the people who, like, for whom competition is the end goal, and absent that and absent competitive success, they end up leaving or finding another place to find that gratified, or they spend their 20s and 30s kind of chasing the next hit of competitive success. So that was actually pretty much all I had planned. I do have a rather frequent chat message asking about Shirtpocalypse 2015. So we're gonna get away from the heavy shit. Thank you so much for sharing that, though, because like
at least I can do, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's I don't take it for granted that people are willing to bare their souls on the stream. So now, what the fuck is Shirtpocalypse 2015?
God damn it! I knew that was gonna come up.
Yep.
This is Chris's fault. What a horrible person she is. Anyways, Shirtpocalypse. That name cracks me up. Well, Shirtpocalypse is basically during the TS. I don't know if you remember this, but last year around October, TSP was having the whole vote for players to get their thing, and I barely lost by like a 1 vote margin. I lost.
Okay.
And I couldn't go, and I was really bummed out. I was like, man, I really wanted to go. I haven't been in New York in so long, 'Cause I used to live in New York, and basically I did a donation stream. People were like, "Do donation streams." I don't know if I should do this. It's like, yeah, just do it. It'll be fine. And the donation stream completely blew my wildest expectations. I was asking for $400. Wasn't even going to pay for the whole thing, but I was like, I don't want to ask anymore.
Oh, I remember.
And we got 900 something. We got 900 something. Just people were just donating for me, and that brought me to tears. Like, it seriously brought me to tears that people actually cared so much to get me to events that they would give me their own money,
Mm-hmm.
more than I asked, double the amount, more than double the amount. And basically what happened is apparently people said, not I'm allegedly said that I would take off my shirt on stream if we went through a certain threshold, which is bullshit. Which is bullshit. And people, the entire anime FGC started taking off their shirts, no joke, and sending me pictures of them with their shirts off, saying, "Do it, Julian. Don't be a bitch." I'm not even kidding. And I got really, really drunk. By the way, I was really drunk during that stream because
I think I was
I drank
watching
for every
this.
donation, so I got really, really drunk.
I think, yeah, I'm
And
beginning to remember this. You might
yeah,
have
yeah,
let
yeah.
me
Like,
start drinking too,
and
but
that's how that famous GIF came out. Is that like I got Reese's Pieces and I went like this, and then it's still in the scene, and this I got some on the floor and I ate some. I was really drunk, and, and I refused to take off my shirt off. Like I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then when I finally did it, like I did a side shot so you can't see anything on purpose, you
Mhm.
know, because my lawyer Sanchez, Miko MacGyver, shouts to him, you know,
Shout outs to
advised me not to do
Sanchez.
that. Yeah, he's a good lawyer. He's a great lawyer. He's a great lawyer, and he advised me not to do that, and I didn't, and people got mad at me. And
Nice.
basically, I did eventually take my shirt off. I did a private picture for Chris, but
Mhm.
she can't show anyone else. Like that's a private picture. Like no one can ever see that. Sorry, folks. That like no one's gonna see shirtless Julian. Like that's not happening. Sorry, guys.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah, that.
I
Yeah, shirt
believe,
apocalypse was insane. Uh,
man, 25 and you already have shirtless pictures out there, man.
yeah, like
I don't know if
Chris
that
wanted
bodes
to, she could
well.
ruin me.
Yeah. Um, so I will mention this. As far as like prepped interview questions go, I'm out. I did want to mention one thing just to briefly return to the serious shit, and that
No,
is,
please do. Please do.
um, if you like, this is me giving you unsolicited career advice, but I think the discipline to which you broke down Zato can easily be pointed to finding work that you are passionate about, whether it's legal studies and paralegaling or fighting games or both, right? And it doesn't need to be an either or choice. Like, if I went back in time to 25-year-old me and showed him where I'm at now, the path would be long and convoluted, and there would be a whole lot of holy shits, right? So like you can't really predict that stuff. But I do think that what you can do is you can sit down and think about who is currently doing the jobs that you would like to do. This is actually something that I did when I was 25. Is I sat down and I thought, hey, Joe Rogan, he seems to have a pretty sweet job between the stand-up comedy and the UFC commentating and generally being paid to be kind of a weirdo that just gives his opinion on stuff. That's a decent starting point for like career inspiration. And so I'd like pay attention to some of his stuff. And Lord knows I'm not a huge fan of all of his content, but I like his approach and I thought that was pretty cool. And then over the years I'd find new people doing really cool shit and try and learn more like, hey, how did you end up there? How did you end up doing that shit? Right? Like, how did you end up doing this job, which I have no idea how you get? And I didn't even realize it was a job until I met you, right? Like Mark, man, like his job for the last like 7 years or whatever has been like making and hustling like arcade sticks. That's a job that basically didn't exist as we knew it until he started doing it, right? I think that you can apply those skills. I think you can absolutely turn that towards like career in law and paralegaling and whatever. But you can apply that to whatever you want, right? Like you have the raw discipline necessary. You have the framework. You have the approach, right? To just start X copying shit and see where it leads you. And I think that if I were you, I would be thinking big picture, like who is doing the kind of stuff that I'd like to do in the next 5 years, and then like small pictures, what can I do to start doing that job now, right? And I think you're starting right. Like commentating is a great way to both build your personal brand, but also like to learn a little bit more about what it means to show up on stream and kind of like present this game to people, right? And there's basically all I'm trying to say is you have the raw ability and the discipline necessary and the smarts necessary to do that kind of shit, right? I wouldn't think of it as, oh, maybe like if I get lucky or something, because you make your own luck, right? You know this in Guilty Gear, like you know that you don't get lucky with Zato, you create opportunities. And you start by creating those opportunities in the neutral. The payoff is the attack stuff, but the attack stuff you've got for free, right? You practice that and you're fine. The way you win is by blocking well and then by creating an opening in the neutral, and that's not luck, that's skill, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want you to go back and listen to this in 5 years, and I hope that wherever you are in 5 years, you can look at this and think, oh man, in retrospect, I can see how all of these like small decisions that I made on a day to day ended up contributing to where I'm at now, right? And you may not be able to predict where it is that you end up in 5 years and what you're doing in 5 years. But I think that if you put the same kind of work into like doing shit that you're motivated to do and that you find rewarding, then that you put into learning Zato, like you can be doing this. That sounds cliche, but you can be doing whatever the fuck you want to be doing, right? You just got to use that mindset. So with that like 5 minutes of unsolicited career advice behind me, there is one opportunity that I extend to anybody who's on the stream, and that's you get a chance to ask me whatever questions you want, because I don't think it's fair for me to just get people to talk about all kinds of important shit to them without sharing something in return. So go ahead, and in chat, if you have questions for either of us, Julian or myself, you're welcome to spam them in there, and we can start asking some of those.
So I'm supposed to ask you questions now?
If you like.
Okay, like Pat, how did you, like, you told me you had experience, you did a lot of different things, but what got you into like games specifically, like as a career? Like right now, like, sure. I know you worked at Riot, and now you're the community manager for Rising Thunder.
Yeah.
Like, how did that happen? Like that that could not have been easy.
Well, it was super weird. So it like actually the story starts in like 5th grade, because I grew up as a kid and I wanted to be an astronaut and a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and then after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle I wanted to make games.
That's awesome.
but pretty early on, like I tried to learn how to program, because I was like, oh, learning programming is how you make games. I didn't know what else went into it. I just knew that if I wanted to make games I needed to learn how to code, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't find people to teach me, couldn't find the right books to stick to it. This was in like the mid 90s when you had to learn C++ or C to start working in games, and that shit was super hard to fuck with. And like there were no real opportunities at school. Even when I went to high school, like I went to this like pretty fucking elite prep school.
Wow.
It was literally called the College Preparatory School, but they didn't really have much in terms of like kind of comp sci or anything like that. And by then I'd already kind of like resigned myself to not working directly in games or not making games, because I wasn't a coder, I wasn't a math type, and so I just started writing about games. Like I wrote reviews and stuff. So for the longest time I thought that that's just what I was going to be doing, and I'd tell myself that I didn't even want to work in the games industry because I'd hear how shitty it was and how no one made any money and it was just crunch and overtime and blah 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 blah. But I continued writing about games, and eventually I wrote about games through high school. I wrote about games through college. Once I actually had to sit down and find a job, basically writing about games and tech was the only real job experience I had that was worth a damn. So I applied to a bunch of jobs there just because I was like, well, fuck, I need to pay the bills. And this was like when I was 22, 23, and I was thinking, oh, my long-term career plans are to try and be a pro MMA fighter. And eventually, and not do it because I want to win the title, but do it because I want to teach. I wanted to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and boxing and so on. And so I got a part-time internship while also teaching. I got a part-time internship at PC World Magazine while I was also teaching 20 hours a week at a boxing gym. There's a nonprofit in Oakland, and basically it's called the East Oakland Boxing Association. Basically, it was this gym that kids could come to and box, basically to keep them out of trouble after school. Right, so like there's a lot of gang violence in East Oakland, and we tried to keep kids off the street and in the gym beating the shit out of each other because we figured it's safer than getting shot at.
Yeah.
And so I did both those things for about a year, and then I realized that being a professional martial artist and a martial arts instructor is actually a pretty shitty job. Like your livelihood is dependent on your health, but you're constantly doing stuff that would hurt, right? You just grind your body down. There's no real long-term plan in it, right? Like there's not a whole lot of great advancement or whatever. And I needed health insurance, right? So I started work, and so I kind of sold out. I was like, well, fuck, I need to do this job. I'm like, and kind of like what you were saying earlier about feeling validated, right? About, feeling like you're good at stuff. Like I never thought I was going to be doing white collar work and writing. I thought at most it'd be like a freelance thing that I did in my free time. But I realized that I was good at playing the office game. Like I was good at pitching articles. I was good at figuring out who I needed to talk to get stuff done. I was good at like the collaborative work, but I was also good at talking about my own shit and why it mattered. I was good at selling my work to other people who mattered internally. And so I just kind of kept doing it because I was good at it. And then and I kind of like gave up, or like I still trained a lot of martial arts back then and so on, and I still do. But I kind of like shelved my dreams of like an amateur MMA career or whatever. And I was doing the magazine thing for PC World for a couple of years, and then I got the opportunity from a friend of mine who was leaving his job at Game Developer Magazine. He was the editor, and they were having a hard time finding someone else to do it. So I had worked with him on some other stuff. I actually had him on a guest on the show a couple months ago, Brandon Sheffield. He is basically my senpai. And so I met the rest of the crew, and I ended up getting the job, which, I mean, for someone who had been working in an editorial job for 3 years at more or less entry level, to go up to like editor-in-chief is fucking crazy. But I was in the right place at the right time, and I was the right dude. Or at least I was more of the right dude than any other person who they had lined up for that job. And so I got it, and then that was kind of my foot in the door, right? That gave me a chance to learn how the game industry works and to work with actual developers. And even though I didn't have, like you mentioned, oh, I can't program, I can't do art or design or whatever, like that was the way that I started learning how the business works. And then from there, I did that job for a year and a half. The magazine closed because print is dead. And when, like basically when the magazine shut down, an old colleague of mine at Riot called me up and was like, hey, I heard the magazine is dead. That sucks. We're looking for an editor-in-chief. And actually, originally what I told them was something along the lines of, oh, well, I'm one of the few people who understand both competitive games and esports and all that stuff and how to like run a decent publication. I'd probably be great for that, but I was planning on moving to Oregon, so let me see if I can put you in touch with someone else. But they kind of insisted, and then I ended up there, and that was kind of when I first started actually working in kind of on the dev and publishing side of things. So it's a super weird path. Like I said earlier, I couldn't, if I went back in time, I wouldn't be able to clearly trace like, oh, I made this decision here, which made me do this and do this. It's not a path that seemed open, right? It seemed like a long shot at 25, but every year just something happened that kind of brought me closer and closer and closer to kind of where I'm at now, right?
That's so cool.
It is, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty fucking cool. I wake up every morning and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm doing this, right? Like, this is awesome. And I feel incredibly lucky. But I also feel like I can look at like certain decisions that I've made and think, oh, I guess the way that I approach this problem, or like just as an example, when I was working at PC World, I was covering like Windows how-tos. So if you search for shit like how to reinstall Windows, you'll probably find a piece that I worked on. Super mundane stuff that has nothing to do with video games. But I learned a lot about web publishing and how you get eyeballs on things, right? And then while I was there, this is when StarCraft 2 was first blowing up. And so that was the first game that I really saw to use Twitch as a platform and like make esports a thing that wasn't just, oh, here's this tournament stream, right? So I started digging in a little bit more and learning how that shit worked, right? So that when Riot needed an editor, I was one of the few people who knew how that shit worked and had the experience on both sides of the fence, right? Like, it wasn't that I was the best editor in the world, is that I was one of the few who understood even the basics of how their game worked, right? And like the things that matter, right? If you had found an editor who was 10 years older than me, he'd have a lot more experience, or she would have a lot more experience doing editing stuff, but he wouldn't necessarily know, like, oh, patch notes are super important. We care about those, right? That's the most important thing that a League player or a fighting game player wants to see, is what changed in the game, right? That kind of stuff. So long-winded answer, but the TLDR is basically like, I tried to make sure that I was the right dude for when an opportunity came by, and I couldn't make opportunities can't come by, but I could make sure that like I could guess at certain opportunities which I thought would be happening, right? Oh, no one in esports is doing a whole lot of writing and editing right now, which means they're probably going to need people who can do that, right? I can make intelligent bets and then develop my own skills based off of that. And I think that like the more that you start thinking about this, the more you'll be able to do that kind of shit too.
Like you said, like that's pretty incredible how your path turned out. It's like it was a long-winded and had a lot of different twists and turns. Yeah, I don't know how you explain that to your past self either. Like that is incredible to me, like what you did, and I that would be amazing if that happened to me, but I hope maybe we'll
And
see.
well, and so that's the thing, right? Is what I'm saying is not. I don't think it's that would be amazing if it happens to you. I think that like when it comes down to it, you just got to make sure you are the most beautiful dude at the most beautiful time at the most beautiful place. That when someone comes by, like, hey, we need like a pretty beautiful. Fuck it, I guess you'll do fine, right? Like, yeah. Anyway, that was me. We got some more questions coming in chat. So
Cool.
to start with, Henry asks, Julian, have you considered streaming full time if you could make a living doing that?
Um, I used to stream a lot more often than I do now, and I did have a lot of success as we both know. The Castlevania streams, Winnie the Pooh stream, all that stuff. Like it got a lot of viewers, a lot of people watching, and it was great. And I want to do something more regular with it, but at the same time, it's like I have a job now, and unfortunately, with three of the days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I don't come home till 9. I don't come home till 9, and to me, it's like, what? Why should I stream at 9 o'clock? Who would watch it at 9 o'clock? It's like the worst time to me. Like it's, I can only stream probably on Mondays now. It's a lot harder to stream than it was before I got a job. Like, and it's really hard. Like I want to go more into it because I think honestly, I would eventually get partnered, but it's not. It's hard. It's hard to be consistent now. Now that I have a full-time job, it's too difficult.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
The Twitch hustle is certainly pretty rough. I
Oh
will
yeah.
say if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, you might look at building up your YouTube channel stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Even if it's
Usually
just like
YouTube's only for the stream highlights and stuff. So right
yeah.
now.
You might like if that's the thing you're interested in. The nice thing about doing YouTube is that you do it on your own schedule and release whenever, right? It is a little harder to do because if you're going to do a good YouTube channel, you need to put a little more effort into production. That's something that I don't do. Like I just put the stream archives and whatever. But it is worth pointing out, right? Like streaming is a super tough hustle because the scheduling makes it rough, right? Like at 9 p.m. Western or Pacific time, like ain't nobody watching.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think peak hours for Twitch, the platform, are like 1 to 3 in the afternoon for us. Chris asks who your Monster Girl waifu is.
Oh my god, I don't watch that damn show. I play anime games. I don't watch a lot of anime, but at least compared to some people. But okay, the one who looks like Lamia, the one that's like, what is that, half snake or something? Yeah,
Jesus Christ, man, what's wrong with you? Get it together. I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, Lamia. I would
All
say
right.
Lamia.
Well,
Lamia,
Chris,
I guess, but I don't watch that damn show, Chris. I don't
well,
watch that damn show.
Chris is telling Monique. Gibby
Oh,
asks,
thank you.
will you play me in Mark of the Wolves?
That's the one game you can kick my ass in. Only okay. He can't play Grant. you, you gotta play someone you don't play. Come on, man, give me a chance.
Gibby, is there anyone you don't play in Mark of the Wolves? I thought you just played everyone in that game.
Oh, he plays everyone. God damn it.
Probably. That's what I'm guessing. Ryu Goomba asks how many
No
years.
KOF games too.
Ryu Goomba asks how many years have you been at college so far? Are you finishing up a bachelor's?
I've been in college for a while now. Like, if you count the times where I was injured and I only did like one class at a time, I've probably been there around 5 years now. Just in and out. Like some semesters I can do, some semesters I couldn't do due to my injuries and my recoveries. But I would say about 5 years, and yeah, I am going for a bachelor's. Yes,
Sweet.
that's my goal. I hope I can get that soon though. It's been eluding me for a while, but we'll see. We'll see.
Chris has a whole bunch of other trolley questions that I'm probably not going to get into, but
That sounds like Chris.
Thanks for the attention, Chris. Well, I'm happy to call it here and give you back the rest of your evening. Lord knows I don't want to take any more of your free time away than I already have. And
Oh, I
besides,
had fun. I loved it.
good. I'm glad. I use these interviews basically as an excuse to talk to people who I don't normally get to sit down and talk to. So I'm glad that you were able to show up. Oh, Chris actually has a legit question. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Oh, and to answer Logic Hole's question, yes, I did bring. I have my shades packed and ready to go for Northwest Mage. Don't worry, I have my shades. They're good. The image is here. The Beautifuldude image is here. What made me famous. The shades, what got me the fan art. Don't worry. Ready to go for Northwest Majors. Hopefully I won't lose them this time.
Oh, Chris asks, when are you going to come visit me in Toronto?
Um, Next time I go to New York City, which may be around Mayish, who knows? We'll see. Anytime I go into New York, I will definitely go to Toronto or and try. I don't know if that's close to New York. I suck with geography. Is that close to New York? Anyways,
Sure,
um,
it's close
yeah,
enough.
why not?
I don't know
Like,
East Coast shit at all.
neither do I. I'm a baby.
Yeah.
I almost die when I go to other coasts because I'm not prepared for the weather. Um, yeah, I want to go to as soon as I can, so I definitely want to play the Guilty Gear scene. Like one of the huge goals I had in the past was playing as much people as I can, playing as much scenes as I can, because I love playing other people. I love interacting with people. So if that means hanging out with more people in Toronto, I'll definitely do that. Absolutely.
Well,
And opening up did feel good to answer her. Like usually I'm very private, Pat. I'm usually private. I'm really private. I don't like to people to get into my private life, but it feels good to open up to people a little bit. I love all my friends. I love everyone in this community. Thank you all for the support, you guys. If it wasn't for any of you guys, I wouldn't be here. Absolutely.
well, thank you so much to Beautifuldude, aka Julian Franco. At this point, I'm just going to say Beautifuldude is your name, and Julian Franco is your alias.
It is.
But you were a fantastic guest, so thank you so much for sharing a little bit about that. I do hope that you can listen to or watch this episode in a couple of years and trace back the some of the interesting places that you've been, and kind of figure out how you got there, because I think it'll be pretty cool. Thank you so much to all the viewers who show up again and again. If this is your first time, I do interviews with cool people who are good at cool things, and sometimes that thing is fighting games. I do them every week. It's Monday at 7 p.m. So if you want to just go ahead and give me a follow, you can click on the little button underneath I think it's to the lower left of the viewer player or whatever.
I just did.
Yeah, I just got that notification. What the fuck, you didn't follow me already? Fuck you. But so on Mondays, I do interviews with cool people. Outside of those, I tend to do instructional stuff around fighting games. Street Fighter V is out right now, so I'll be doing a little bit more streaming like that. I'm hoping tomorrow, if everything is okay, I'm getting over a cold right now, but if I'm feeling well tomorrow, we'll do some replay review. Because if CFN is working, then we can go just stock pro players and high level players all the time. But yeah, thank you so much to the new viewers, and thanks also to the people who have been tuning in week after week, because y'all are the reason I do this shit. So thanks. And as always, if you have suggestions for people that you'd like me to interview and open up on stream, I'm more than happy to send them my way at pattheflip on Twitter. You can also find the VOD of all this stuff at youtube.com/pattheflip. And I run a podcast, which is basically the audio rips from this. So if you want, you can check out the podcast links. They're in some of my more recent video stuff. You can find it on iTunes. It's the Patrick Miller Podcast. So that's it for the plugging. Thanks, y'all. Thanks again to Julian.
And can I say one more thing?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that for interrupting your outro. I really apologize. I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who supported me throughout the last couple of years. Not just TSB, but if I wouldn't be here if it was for all of you supporting me, all my fans out there, the people who draw me fan art, who've given me money out of their own pocket to go to events. Like if it wasn't for you guys, I would not be here. So I say from the bottom of my heart that I owe my fame, my success to all of you guys, watching all you guys who've donated and done stuff for me. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly mean that. Thank you for all the help you guys given me, all the support, all the love from every single one of my fans. All you guys have been fantastic to me, and thank you. And I mean that. Really, thank you so much, guys. I love every single one of you. I seriously do, and I hope you guys continue to support me in the future, because that means so much to me. Thank you.
And on that note, good night and peace out, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.